Paige, it's great to see you. You announced that it might be 6 months before you're back in the octagon. When you do come back, who is it that you've got your eye on to face next?
Yeah, I still definitely think that within the 125 division, I'm still eligible for that title shot relatively soon. I know I need to earn it and fight one or two more times, but improve myself. But that's ultimately the goal. So whoever's gonna get me up to that next level to eventually fight for the title.
And
things didn't go your way in your last fight. Obviously, you were fighting at flyweight. How did you feel at that weight, and is that somewhere that you're going to stay now?
Yeah, I felt awesome, and I think that's the biggest thing that was unfortunate for me is how good I felt in that division. I felt great going into it. I felt great fighting at flyweight, and to have to not win the fight because of a broken arm that I threw the punch myself. She didn't break it. I broke my arm all by myself on her head. So it sucks, and it's a bummer, but you can't look back on those things. I can't regret that fight. I have to go move forward and just look forward to the next one. And yeah, I'm healing up. The doctor said my arm's healing faster than he's ever seen. So 3 months until I could start hitting with full force, and then I give myself another few weeks to get ready for a fight.
Paige, I know in the past you've said perhaps one day you'd like to work with the WWE. What have you made of Ronda Rousey's run in the WWE so far?
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see it. I've been so busy traveling, but I think it's amazing. It's just another platform for us UFC fighters to make a name for ourselves. And I know Ronda's going to do awesome at it, and she's going to make a name for herself in the WWE. And that's something, I'm a fighter first and foremost, but if that opportunity ever came knocking, I'm not one to turn opportunities down. So I think it's an amazing organization, and I would definitely love to work with them.
And you have a book coming.
You getting engaged from your fan base. Has anyone tried talking you out of it?
Yeah, I would say I definitely had my poor fiance. Everyone hates him a tiny bit, but he's an awesome fighter. I can't wait for him to make his run in the UFC, and it's gonna come very, very soon. So he's a national level champion wrestler. So I'm excited to see his future, and I think he'll get some more fans once they are able to see him perform.
I know you've been here with your mum this week. What was her reaction when you told her about it?
She was so excited. Yeah, and it's awesome. I get to bring my mom here. She's never been to London, and this is my first time here as well, so it's really exciting. I get to show her around, and it's awesome that the UFC gives us these opportunities to see. I've never been to this country, so it's been really cool, and I get to share it with my parents.
And you have a book coming out as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I do, yeah. I have a book coming out next month, so April 10th is when it gets released, and I'm really excited because it's kind of a tell-all, and I'm not allowed to talk about exactly what's in the book now, but people are going to be shocked, and it's definitely going to be something that people are going to either really love me or really hate me after they read it. So I'm nervous, but I'm also really excited. I feel like the UFC gave me this platform where I get to share my story, and I think it's really going to change a lot of lives.
Paige, you talked about, just then saying about people will love it, people will hate it. You've spoken in the past about suffering at the hands of bullies. You're a very prominent athlete now. You're prominent on social media, Instagram, Twitter. You get a lot of positive feedback, obviously. You probably get a fair bit of negative stuff as well. How have you managed to deal with that as you've grown up in the octagon and grown up as a professional athlete?
Yeah, I like to say that, it doesn't get to me, or that I'm bigger than the people that are saying these negative things, but I'm not, and I'm still a person, and it still hurts, and it's still awful. And there's a lot of people who post negative things on social media, and I think they forget that us within the UFC or us on the platform, we're still real people, and that stuff still hurts. And I feel like going through everything I went through in high school, all the bullying issues, it kind of did prepare me for this platform to where I do have that thick skin. I can look at it and it won't bother me for quite as long as I would have before. So I think I want to use my platform to just kind of share, my story. As it still does hurt today, but I want to more inspire people to, keep going and not let that negative feedback really hold you back, and, just really chase your dreams.
It looks like Valentina Shevchenko will get the next shot at the women's flyweight title. What's your prediction for that fight?
I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't see the flyweight champion. I haven't seen her fight before, but I do know how talented Valentina is, and I know that she's beaten Joanna 3 times in kickboxing, I believe. So, and she's beaten Holly Holmes, and she's very, very talented and a very scary fighter, but at the same time everybody's beatable. So I'm gonna go into this fight watching it as a fan and a fellow competitor, and it is my division, so I'm gonna go in and watch it as the potential competition. So I'm going to watch both of them.
Paige.
How do you think you match up to either one of those?
You know, it's a good question. Again, I haven't seen the current flyweight champion fight yet. I was unable to watch her title fight. So, you know, it's really just going in there and I watch with an open mind. And then whenever the UFC matches me up with somebody, then I let my coaches make a game plan for me and I move forward from there.
Paige, the other day when you arrived in London, you sent out a tweet asking for restaurant recommendations.
Yes.
I suggested Nando's. Have you been yet?
I haven't. I've actually heard about Nando's from a lot of people, so I'm going to have to try that.
Sorry, Paige, I would like to ask you about Polish girls in UFC. One of the fans asked you today about the rematch between Joanna and Jade and Rose Namajunas. You pick Rose. Could you please tell us why?
Yeah, you know, honestly, going into that, I feel like watching Rose go into that, my thing is I feel like she had Joanna beat mentally. You know, Joanna, I mean, it's just what I saw from the outside is Joanna is used to seeing a reaction from the people she fought, and she didn't get a single reaction out of Rose, and Rose just seemed so mentally strong going into it. In the fight game, it is very, very mental, and Rose just mentally was not shaken at all. So, I mean, honestly, if you go skill for skill on any given night, though they fought 10 times, I would say it's 5-5 for the winner. So it really could go either way. Mentally, I feel like Rose has the edge right now, but I know Joanna's going to be very hungry. She's going to want her belt back, and she's going to come full force as well. And I love both of them, so I'm excited just to watch this fight.
Talking about your fight with Rose, how much did that shape your career? Because that was a tough fight, and you managed to see it out all the way to the end. And even after the fight, after everything that happened, you still went to the press conference. You still faced the press, answered the questions. There were a few tears shed. But how much did that one day shape you as a fighter and as a person?
Yeah, it definitely shaped me as a fighter and as a person. You know, I went back into get stitched up right after the fight before we had all the press, and the biggest thing is I just didn't want to see my parents. I knew if I looked them in the eye, I would just start tearing up. So I knew it was part of the job. I knew losses happen. It happens, and you have to move forward from it. And it's not letting that loss define you. And you have to realize that, you know, this is bigger than my purpose in the UFC. Is bigger than just fighting. It's for so much more than that. So, you know, fighting her, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I could go through some very, very deep waters and still come out on top. I also learned I have some amazing fans that I gained from that, and you know, they got to see how tough I was and how I'm here to make a name for myself, and I'm here to fight back. And it was really exciting that I was able to gain so much from that loss. And it's all about moving forward, and people can see how tough I am. But you know, winning does feel a whole lot better.
Do you see some other girls outside the UFC that should be fighting in flyweight division?
Outside of the UFC, there's a lot of very talented females in the MMA world, and I've been fortunate enough to train with quite a few of them, and I'm hoping that a lot more women do come up to the UFC, and the UFC can notice those girls. And luckily, I feel like there is such a draw behind women fighting that women are almost getting noticed more than the men now, and it's almost a little bit easier path for the women to get up there because people just love watching them fight, and these girls are getting noticed. So I'm very excited that we get to build up this flyweight division, but I'm also hoping as well that there is more talent in Chris Cyborg's division. I wonder what's next for her, because I feel like she's the most feared fighter of all time, men and women. So I'm excited to see what's next for her.
She said once that she thinks about Bellator because in UFC there is quite no division, flyweight division. Maybe you know each other, so maybe you think that the place of Chris Cyborg is in Bellator, not in UFC.
That's a hard question, you know. Being a UFC fighter, I like to say that UFC is the end-all be-all, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of talent in Bellator as well. And so there's a lot of very, very good UFC fighters going to Bellator, and they're really making a name for themselves, and they're becoming a huge, huge organization. So I don't know, and I do think there's not a lot of women out there. I can't think of a single person that could beat Chris Cyborg. I can't think of a lot of men that could beat Chris Cyborg. So I'm just excited to see how far she goes, and I think she could be one of the most belted UFC fighters in the whole world.
You're going to experience a British crowd for the first time tomorrow night. Is it on your MMA bucket list to try and fight perhaps in the UK or Ireland, somewhere here in Europe one time in the future?
It is now. Gosh, you guys are so passionate about your guys' fighters, and it's awesome to come here and see how you guys reacted, like Darren Till, and it is so different from the States versus here. So it's like, I was like, gosh, I need to have more fans here. I need to come here and really make a name for myself. I've loved it here, and I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time sightseeing and stuff, but yeah, I would love to fight here.